same. Let's welcome LaPronda to the stage.
Hello. How is everybody? Being audacious? Yes. Well, my name is LaPronda Spann, and I get the pleasure of talking to you about being audacious, or as Lori calls it, living out loud. So, many of you have probably heard the word audacious. You probably may have had to spell it on a spelling test a few years ago. You're going to say how many years ago? Might have had it in a spelling test, a spelling bee, but just what does that word mean? Well, being audacious by definition means to show a willingness to take surprisingly bold risk. A willingness. It's about being willing to be brave, being willing to be bold, to be fearless, to be courageous, to be valiant, to be heroic, to be Superman, to be Superwoman, with that S on our chest, able to leap a tall building in a single bound. That's about being audacious. Well, not quite Superman, Superwoman. But there's another definition of audacious that I like a little better, fits my personality a little more, but I don't know how you really would feel about that. And that is showing an impudent lack of respect. How about being insubordinate, shameless, brazen, defiant, cocky, mouthy, sassy? That would be me. Doing things that others won't do. Doing things against unconventional wisdom. Having the nerve to, as we tend to hear. That's what audacious means. Now, you're probably thinking, well, it sounds good, LaPronda, but what does that really mean? Why should I consider that? Well, there are a few good reasons why you might want to consider being audacious, living this life out loud. Number one, some of us are bored to death with life as we know it today. Your life is one big yawn. You might as well tell the truth. The second is, you're sleepwalking. Some of us get up the same time every morning. We go to bed at night the same time. We go to work the same way. We go to that same job we've had for 20 years doing the same thing, just sleepwalking. The other is, you're tired of living in this prison of fear that's keeping you from this audacious life that you've been calling for. And I think at this point, many of you in here are ready to answer that call. Now, the opposite of audacious means to be cowardly, to act with restraint, to obey conventional boundaries. Just boring. But I'll be honest with you, to be audacious, well, it's a little bit scary. No, I won't lie, it's a whole lot scary. There'll be twists and there'll be turns in unfamiliar territory. It's going to look really, really strange at times. But I think I like when someone said, those who do the absurd can achieve the impossible. Those who do the absurd can achieve the impossible. Now, Walt Disney talks about those who are willing to pursue their dreams typically can find them and honor them and live them. Willingness to be brave, to be bold. Now, as I continue talking, you're saying, okay, it sounds a little better. But why should I change? Why take the risk? What's my motivation in all of this? Well, there are some benefits to being audacious. Number one, you have peace of mind. You can go to bed at night and know that you've lived the life that you've called for. Number two, you have an energy and enthusiasm for life that you had known since childhood. If you've ever watched a child, you know that they're happy every single day. They get up, they're excited, they're playing, they're being their audacious self. You'll get that back when you live an audacious life. Number three, people get to see the real you. And to be honest with you, you'll inspire them to free themselves. People are waiting on you to step forward into who you really are. And they've already talked about the authenticity, so you know what that is today. Another reason, Well, you get to live life on your terms and succeed on your terms. It's what you're calling for, what you create. And the final reason is you get to make a difference while you're making a life. And that's important. Now, again, I will say, it is not an easy path. You have to trust the process and be comfortable with being uncomfortable in this space. So with that being said, now that you're awake, now that you're authentic, I'll tell you 3 tips that I would ask you to consider as you're on this journey of being audacious. Number 1 is get real. Number 2 is get naked. And number 3 is get help. Now, starting with getting real. It's all about getting real with where you are right in this moment. And I'll say that getting real is about taking a look at your life. So here's what I'm going to invite you to do. I'm going to invite you to just take a moment and close your eyes. Close your eyes, no peeking. I see some people looking at me. Close your eyes. If I see your eyeballs, you're looking. Take a moment and think about your life and where you are right now. Examine where you are. And a few questions. When you think about your life in this very moment, does it make you smile? Another question. When you go to bed at night and get up in the morning, are you jumping out of bed, running with excitement to see what's going to happen in this day that is fun, adventurous, yummy, and delicious? And number 3, a lot of times we define who we are by the people that are with us, around us, or surrounding us. And so when you think about that, those people are a reflection of you. Are the people that are in your life right now, are they a reflection of who you were or what you're becoming? Now that you've had a chance to examine your life, you can open your eyes, and I'll continue to talk a little bit more about what it means to get real. And I'll talk about it from my perspective, because I'm the expert on my own story. And so I'll tell you my story about getting real. Before I left corporate America, I had the pleasure of encountering this beautiful spirit and wonderful human being that showed up cleverly disguised as a horrible boss. And I mean, she was horrible. And so, in that process of me being in corporate America with this new boss, there was a lot of micromanaging and nitpicking and prodding and poking and trying to exercise control over audacious me. And I will say that at the time, I wasn't spiritually developed. I was all in my ego, so you know how that went at that time. It just wasn't happening. But in that process, I went to her boss, I went to human resources, and I realized at the time that I wasn't going to get the support that I felt I needed to continue to be successful in that position under her supervision. So, with that in mind, I took a moment, left, went to the beach for vacation for a few days, sat on the beach with my chair and my book, The 4 Agreements. And within the first 3 pages of that book, I knew I was going back to resign. The first 3 pages. I was at such peace about making that decision. And in making that decision, I came to the realization about one thing, is that I really didn't like the job. And that she might have shown up as a horrible boss, but I called her in. She was there to serve me. She was a part of my lesson and pushing me into being this audacious person that I have chosen to step into today. She was there to serve me. On top of that, I always knew that I wanted to step into entrepreneurship full time. So here was the opportunity. I had stood on the edge of that corporate cliff for so long thinking about it. Now was the time. And so what did I do? I jumped. I got real. My story on getting real. So a few more questions for you on getting real. The question is, in being audacious, are you ready? Are you really ready? I mean, a dream isn't going away that you've had. There's a burning desire deep within you that's been calling you forward to it for a very long time. Are you really ready? And the second question is, are you willing? We talked about that in the definition of being audacious. Is, are you really willing? Are you willing to let go of the friends that no longer serve you in the space that you're moving into? Are you willing to let go of the job that's no longer serving you? Are you willing to let go of the husband or the wife or the stale relationships or the stagnant courtships that just don't fit into this person that you are becoming and being audacious? Those are the things you have to think about in being willing to step into audaciousness. So, with that in mind, the question is, now are you able? Now, I don't like to ask that question because I know you're able. Well, I know you're capable. So, are you ready? Are you willing? Are you able? Now, you might say, well, yeah, I think I'm ready. And yes, I think I'm willing. So, the next step in that journey of getting, now that you're getting real about where you are, is getting naked. And this is my favorite part of the journey. Now, I know some of you are like, what is this lady here talking about getting naked? I ain't coming here to act for nobody to tell me about taking my clothes off. And does she not know I still got 10 pounds to lose? I mean, really. But getting naked isn't about taking anything off, but what is keeping you from your dream. And there are two aspects of getting naked. The first is you have to remove the mask. And the second is you really need to consider disrobing. Now, in removing the mask is all about removing those clouds of judgment and those things that are denying you and keeping you from moving forward into the life that you're calling, but for those external factors that are affecting you. So, for some of us, it's the job, it's the car, it's the house, it's the title, it's our image, it's our position, it's the church, it's all those external things that have defined us and the way we've defined success, connection, clicks, whatever you want to call it. That's about removing the mask. But removing the mask really is about getting to what's behind the mask. Because for some of us, we'd worn that mask for so long, let me tell you, you don't realize it, but that mask don't even fit anymore. It's crooked, the string don't pop, it doesn't fit. I mean, all the things just hanging on, and you think you're saying they're looking good. It's about removing the mask. Removing the mask really is removing everything that has defined you, but doesn't serve you into moving into this life. So back to my story about getting real and getting naked and in removing my mask. I trudged back into the office after vacation and handed in my resignation. And I gave him 3 weeks notice. I was generous. I could have given him 2 weeks, I gave him 3. And you heard a hush come over the entire office. I mean, they were whispering amongst, oh my God, she has resigned. Is she crazy? Well, she has lost her mind. Is what many of them were saying, whispering amongst each other. The supervisor, who was a wonderful human being, but my horrible boss, came in and sat down, and you can tell she was saying it because she felt like she had to, but there inside, I'm sure she was just excited that she didn't have to deal with audacious me anymore. And so we had to have a staff meeting, and I had to make the announcement that I was resigning, although everybody already knew. And so my exact speech in the meeting was, I've made the decision to resign. And I know many of you are surprised and are wondering why I'm making that decision. But at the time I was 42, at the age of 42, I have earned the right to be me, to be audacious me. And before I come in here wearing a mask and trying to cope with just having a job, I'm making the decision to leave. And with that, I gave them my 3 weeks, and I walked out the door, knowing that that position, that job, that experience had served me. It was about me removing my mask and getting real. So, in removing the mask, you move on and you get to a space where you're understanding better what it is that you're trying to do, what it is that you want to do. And then you get to disrobing. So all the external stuff is gone, and you're disrobing. Now, disrobing is all about removing and cleaning the clutter from the inside out. It is decluttering the pipeline that leads to and is the core essence of you. Removing the clutter is removing everything that is keeping us from being our authentic selves, but from within. It's the have-tos, it's the got-tos, it's the self-criticism, it's the lack of self-confidence, it's the lack of self-esteem, it's the obligations, it's the different people that we feel like we have to kowtow to on a daily basis. It brings us to a place of staying small. So, in disrobing, some of what you're doing is really removing all these layers. I know many of us have walked around or have driven around and we've seen someone that was homeless. And at the time when you notice that homeless person, you see a lot of times that it might be 90 degrees outside, but they are layered with a coat and a jacket and a shirt and pants, and we're sweating and they have all this on. And I will offer you that sometimes when that person is in our vision, it is at times a vision of us, but from the inside out. Now, what would happen if we remove those layers, layer by layer by layer, to get to the true authentic us? You step into a space, which is unfamiliar territory, but people get to see the real you, and they're drawn to you. And yes, you may lose a little bit, but you gain so much more. So, in getting naked, it's about disrobing, and it's about removing the mask. Now, the final tip in the journey is all about getting help. And for some of us, that's really, really hard. Getting help is about not having to do it alone. And I'll say it again, you do not have to do this alone. You can get help. You need to surround yourself, well, I shouldn't say need, I would suggest you, I would advise you to surround yourself with people that can support you in their journey, on your journey. Many of them are divinely appointed to serve you and to be with you in your journey. So, here's my suggestion when it comes to that. A few tools that I've used in getting help and surrounding myself with people that love me and want nothing but the best for me and don't ask anything of me in that process is I joined a mastermind group. And then I also went to a meditation retreat. Mastermind for me was all about identifying folks' trusted confidence where you can be your true authentic self, tell your story as it really is, I mean completely naked from the inside out, and they give you constructive feedback and support in your journey. Now, I will honestly say, audacious me doesn't always feel like audacious me. Sometimes I need help and support. But Mastermind is there to serve us. And one of the ladies who introduced me to Mastermind is here today, Tamala Harris. And she was a big reason why I joined. And she'll tell you I went in kicking and screaming. Because a part of it was, these women do not know me. They can't handle my truth. I don't know these folks. And so I went anyway. And it is the best thing that I had ever done. Number two, surrounding yourself with trusted confidants. They are that group. I was able to go in there and really tell the truth about where I was. So back to my story. Right before I left, and they knew I was having all this trouble with this horrible boss, I went in and told them all about the issues that I was having. And it was her, and she's horrible, and she's this, and she's that, and they listened to that for 3 weeks. And finally, one of them said, this isn't about her, this is about you. And you need to make a decision. So what is that decision? Right in my face. Okay, well, then maybe you're right. Maybe this is about her, me. So I went in, resigned, came back to the group after vacation, and told them in that next mastermind group that I was leaving, that I had actually put in my resignation. And when I told them that, they applauded me for making that decision. And one of them said, and now you can get on to the life that you're really supposed to be living, doing what you're really supposed to do. And it was that moment that I realized they wanted nothing from me but to support me and to see the best for me. It was a tool that worked for me. And I will honestly say that 18 months to the day that I walked in a mastermind and announced to them that I was leaving my job, on May the 1st of this year, the company that I started, Lane Consulting, was selected as a city and the county's minority business enterprise of the year. Business Journal a month later gave me a moment and said that I was 2014's Women in Business Achievement Award. So I know what it means to be audacious. And so I admonish you to take the moment to get real, get naked, get help, be audacious. Thank you.